Hello, and welcome to Monday Night Live with Dr. Rita Louise. And guess who that is? That's me, Dr. Rita Louise. So tonight I'm going to open the show talking about, I'm going to complain a little bit here for a second. Not complain, but just raise awareness about something that I have not brought up at all during these live streams. But, another area that I love and I'm known for is talking about ancient mysteries. And actually, I'm being brought back to Gaia TV to film for Ancient Mysteries #5. And so they sent me the questions, and I've been doing research for preparing for that interview. And, so this season they're talking about concepts like Atlantis and Mu and the Younger Dryas impact and I don't know, a whole bunch of stuff. Actually, they have some really great questions in the lineup. So I'm really looking forward to it. But sometimes you hear things about a subject and discount it. So for me, example, so one of the concepts they're going to be talking about is Mu, the lost continent of Mu, which I kind of threw over there in my little poo-poo pile and never really explored it. And it is one of the concepts they're going to be covering this coming season. So I'm, doing some homework on it. And I have to tell you, I am really surprised with the amount of information that's out there that I had no idea that was out there. And coming from multiple sources. And so, so sometimes you hear about a subject and you do some research and you find out, wow, there's actually material out there that makes this be a credible topic. And then there are other times when you start exploring and you don't find anything, or you read articles and basically every single article is referring to the same source. And so you're not really getting any depth and breadth of information. And on some of these sites, you read through it, and other than the person kind of rewrote paragraphs, they're word for word on other sites, but other people take credit for them, which I'm not really so sure about that, but, whatever. And there's no meat. And so how can you make a determination about a topic where there's absolutely no meat? And if I can't find it, then I have to throw it in the it's useless pile. So I have a friend, and thank God he's not listening because he'll be pissed off that I'm talking about him. And he loves to talk about the archons. And so the archons, from my understanding, are this race of beings, spiritual beings. I don't know, but they're very negative and they can impenetrate your energy and give you negative thoughts, kind of like what I would consider an attached entity. Some of the reading that you talk about reptilians and their eating fear, eating negative energy for sustenance. Kind of falls into kind of that category, but he's always the archons. But when you do any research about the archons, especially the funniest part is he will send me these videos. Here's information about the archons. And all they ever say is, well, based on Gnostic texts, basically the Nag Hammadi text, but, based on Gnostic text, there's no meat to that. That's one source. And so to me, in my humble opinion, if you're going to be looking at ancient mysteries, and things that come out of antiquity, there needs to be multiple sources. There needs to be more than one person making a claim and saying, blah, blah, blah. and everybody taking it as being true. I mean, okay, if you come out of the scientific mainstream community, they get away with that all the time. But if you come out of any alternative area, you can't do that. There has to be something to latch onto. Um, and to me, having it come from multiple sources, multiple angles, um, adds to it. And that's why, as I was talking about Moo before, there were actually multiple sources, both in verbal, textual references to Moo, but there's also physical evidence that really supports that concept, which I, again, found fascinating. This has been the most exciting part of this whole thing. I have another friend, and not to insult anybody, but um, you know, okay, I have a number of friends who think I'm going to burn in hell because I have not taken Jesus into my heart as my Lord and Savior. I live in Texas. Just leave it there. Um, and so her comment to me was, well, why don't you go and, study Jesus? And I looked at her and I said, because there's only one book that talks about Jesus. And then she looked back at me and I said, every other book is based on that one book. So we're not talking about multiple sources. We're talking about one source of information, which doesn't, in my opinion, prove anything. Um, because there are people, there are authors, and excuse my French and the way that I'm saying this, that just kind of pull stuff out their butt. See, I said it in the nice way. They pull stuff out their butt and they throw it out there as if it's true. But when you dig down, and look for what they're sourcing as their material, it turns out to be a bunch of bull. And so I don't even know where some of these people get it from. And it burns me. Okay, I'm just going to say it burns me, which is why I'm talking about this today. And so, if you're reading anything, whether it's about UFOs, whether it's about psychic abilities, whether it's about ascension or multidimensional beings or any of that stuff, which, in my opinion, there's a lot that does not pass my BS meter. View it with discretion. The Archon friend had sent me a video about the Archons. And if this woman was trying to sell me insurance, I wouldn't have believed her. I mean, I do psychic work, I'm in that airy fairy world, but she was over the top for me. Maybe you could listen to her and be like, oh, yeah, she's got everything together, but it wasn't passing my BS meter. Anyway, so my commentary, the big picture of this whole thing is, I mean, unless you're getting a reading from me, which then it's absolutely true and perfect and right on. Look at things with discernment. See if it passes your BS meter. And if it doesn't pass your BS meter, then use that as inquiry to investigate more or move it into that, purgatory pile. Like, okay, I know you exist, but I'm not quite sure I'm going to believe this wholeheartedly. But at least I'm aware. And so that's my lesson of the day. I should have come up with like a good line, like, check your BS and make sure that it's all good. I don't know, something good like that. Anyway, so there's only a few people in there. I am going to open up the lines. As always, if you want to schedule a private consultation with me, please send me an email. Go to soulhealer.com. Wait, let's do the cute little banner thing. Go to soulhealer.com, right there, soulhealer.com, and send me a message and we can get something scheduled. If you are one of my Facebook peeps and watching the show, don't forget to like Dr. Rita Louise on Facebook. That's Dr. Rita Louise, not Rita Louise, two different things, on Facebook. And if you see, I need to make a new tab. And if you are watching this on YouTube, please like my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel, Just Energy Radio on YouTube. Okay, so let me see who's here and open up the lines. And there's not really that many people that have posted. So hopefully we can have some kind of conversation, or this is going to be a very long show for me. So we have Amy and Amy. We have Amy O and Amy Major, and our bestie Cindy U-turn Sash. Anyway, so do you guys have any questions, please? Or this because that's all I got. Okay, let's see. Trying to think what I could possibly talk about. Unless you have a question. So one of the things that I have really been working on is okay. Ooh, it's Nina. Hi, Nina. Man, you just like popped in there with like a big old question. Thank you for asking a question because I was kind of like struggling here a second. Okay. So Nina wants to know what direction should I take right now? That's kind of open-ended, but I might be able to do something. What's coming up as important for this year? Okay, Nina, you're asking for predictions, which I don't do. And how do I best heal myself and what is actually causing my PTSD? That one I can definitely address, and you never know what will come up with the other stuff, now that I have some place to start. Okay, and I'm just going to have to poke around. If I start yawning, everybody just ignore that part. So, Nina, when I look at your energy, one of the things that I'm picking up is about you, and the word I want to use is you wanting to be invisible. Like the world is safer if you're not seen, if you are just this little teeny being that doesn't take up a whole lot of space in the world. Because if you take up a lot of space and if you own a lot of energy, it just makes more of you vulnerable to attack. And so I feel like, you got the whole turtle thing going on where you're just kind of tucked all in. And from that posturing, the impression that I get is that it makes it challenging for you to step out, to step up, to really, because there's just so much fear in the way. And yeah, so I'm just going to put a period there. Okay, so one of the things that I want to bring up is maybe it's time to take some risks. Maybe it's time to look at your behavior because I think you see that kind of quiet shutdown behavior. I don't want to take up a lot of space. And ask yourself, what can I do to change this? What can I do to make this be different? And I've shared this story on air before, and there are people that know me that haven't heard this story, and they're like, what? So when I was young, I was extremely shy, like beyond extremely shy. And if you weren't really good friends with me, or I wasn't really good friends with you, then I wouldn't really open up and talk. And so when I was 19, I moved to California and found this job, and I would walk to work every day. And I made it my mission that I was going to change that fear I had about talking to people. And so my first mission, and this is the part that just sounds so pathetic, but I don't know. So my first goal was to go into the 7-Eleven or the convenience store that was on the way to work that I would stop at every day to get a soda and say hi to the woman behind the counter first. Now, I think to most people that would be like, well, how is that hard? But to me, it was excruciating. And I remember the first time I did it, I literally had to stand outside the store and breathe for a while and then kind of like white knuckle fisty kind of things and went inside and went, hi. and zoomed down the aisle and then probably hyperventilated while I was down the aisle. And that was all I could really do. Got my son and got out of there. And I did that every day. And it changed stuff. Hell, I'm here now blabbing away to a whole bunch of people that I don't even know. And so people that know me as an adult would never guess that I struggled so much with that. I mean, there are some people that know me that see me struggle. You know, there are certain situations where it will definitely trigger that response. And so, Nina, I am challenging you to pick one fear, pick one thing that you feel is keeping you from moving forward because it's fear, but pick one thing and then do it and do it again, because over time and with practice, you'll go from like white knuckling it, all the blood coming out of your face, to having it be some, hell, you might even have a podcast. Who the hell knows? So that is my challenge to you. And so hopefully that fits in with, what direction should you take and what's coming up that's important. So hopefully, and if you have a follow-up, please ask below. Anybody else that's happened to be here, please ask a question. Ooh, we have another person, but let me hit Cindy. So she wants to talk about sibling psychic connections. And I think that that's a really interesting topic. So when we're talking about psychic connections, the strongest ones we have are with people that we're close to, and so we might have siblings, but we might not have that in-depth psychic thing because we're just not really close to them, like we don't really have the same vibe. And so we're not on the same frequency. And so that connection is just, weird and vague, versus, you have a really good friend and you pick up your phone to call them up and they're calling you. It's because you are on that same wavelength. You are connecting on deeper levels. And so I really feel like it's the vibration that you're at that opens up that psychic connection, whether it be siblings, whether it be close friends, et cetera, et cetera. So I hope that answers your question, Miss Cindy. All right, so Janet, hi, Janet. Okay. All right, so Janet, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and if you could kind of rephrase your question. So what do you do, and are you working now? So are you just looking like for a new job, or are you looking for like a whole new thing? And I'll be happy to respond to that. And just kind of like looking at your career space in general, I just am feeling like there is confusion. Well, no wonder you're a psychologist. You're around all that confused, crazy energy. Not just kidding. But I'm just going to kind of stick in. Maybe I didn't even need to ask you anything. But I just am feeling like there is a lot of confusion around you. There's this part of you and your heart that loves what you do, but I feel like there's all of this static around you. So I'm going to make the assumption, okay, so this is an assumption here, that would be your work environment, your employers that create this discord that makes it so that you're being challenged to live your passion. So I don't know if I'm hitting there or not. I don't know if you are potentially looking to go somewhere else. And actually, I feel like it's really just one person that's creating all of this discord. So you could pray or put out energy that they will just, move on. I feel like everyone else is kind of sensing it, and it's not just you. And, because I feel like back not all that long ago, it was a cool place to be, and it was chill. But I don't feel like it's that way anymore, and I'm not really understanding what changed, and really what changed so much and so fast to create that big of a shift in environment. Okay, all right. So now I'm reading the rest of your stuff, Janet. Um, See, this is the rub that I kind of get for you, Janet, is you love what you do, so maybe you could like leave there because you're 69. I mean, that's pretty good. And maybe like get a job being a high school counselor or something where you can just do what you love and get out of the crazy. And I get the burnout, but I feel like, after after like 3 or 4 months, you'd be missing it and wanting to get back into the game. But maybe you can find something, and actually, I've been on Indeed looking for a little part-time gig, and there's a lot of like telehealth, part-time therapy jobs that look like they pay okay. So it might be a way that you can work from home, make a little money, and get out of that regular 9 to 5 thing. Okay. But yeah, that person, but she hates everybody. Yeah. Look on Indeed, for part time gigs because I do see a lot of openings and opportunities that way, where you can really kind of tailor your own schedule. All right, Janet. Hey. All right, so we're back with Nina. I know, Janet. She hates everyone, and you know what? Everyone don't like her either. And so I'm not sure how long she's gonna last. I mean, but she really is riling up the energy in the office, and because I feel like it was kind of kumbaya before, and not so much anymore. And I feel like, sitting down, I mean, you are a counseling office, sitting down with her, even all of you, it just wouldn't be pretty. She wouldn't be pretty. She got some issues. All right, I'm just going to say, she got some issues. She needs to go to a therapist. Okay, I'm back with Nina. Let's see. Any advice for career direction? I'm trying to find a job in design, which I don't love as much. Looking at studying either psych or going into music. Nina, that's kind of all over the place. Um, so, Nina, I have to ask this question like graphic design, web page design, what kind of design? Um, sometimes, and I'm going to kind of shift this conversation in a different direction. Sometimes you just do a job because of the money, and you don't do it because you're getting any kind of personal satisfaction out of it or really anything other than the money. Um, and I feel like for you at this point, going back to school and doing these things kind of, well, Nina, I really don't know how old you are, and I'm not really going to ask, but seem a little late in the game, and I'm feeling like, actually, I'm going to say this in a weird kind of way. I'm just feeling like you don't really have the energy for it. Like you just need to go and do your thing and get the money and get out of Dodge, you know. And so I think anything that you could do in that way would be great. Okay, that's what I thought. Graphic design. All right, let me get rid of this. That. Um, so maybe you could just look at it in that way, is just doing it in a different, doing it for a different purpose. I hope I'm making sense with what I'm saying. And of course, you can always follow up below. All right, Amy. Okay, back with Nina here a second again. Yep, just for money. Applied to too many places, haven't heard back. Oh, you're only 23. Okay. Um, Nina, I didn't know. I thought you were older. Um, I mean, if you're 23, going back to school would be okay, but then there's the whole, how are you going to pay for it? How long is it going to take? Blah, 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 which adds more into the pile. Um, and I'm wondering if doing something like, becoming a certified health coach or getting your, master's in therapy or something like that would be a little bit of an easier path for you. So, okay. Up to Amy. Oh, I'm heading in a totally new direction away from corporate. I'm starting moves to start a nonprofit. All right, so stop that. All right, I'm just checking to make sure I haven't already talked to you. Okay. So Amy, I feel like you have really good energy in the direction of your nonprofit. And this is what came to me, and I don't know if this is appropriate for what you're doing, but finding donors, finding sponsors that will donate to the nonprofit, um, because that is what will get it up and running and make it be successful. I feel like if it's just you banging your head against the wall and really don't have some pockets that are backing it up, um, I don't want to say it'll be a failure, but I feel like it would be much better. It would allow you to have a bigger vision, and I feel like what you're wanting to do can have a big footprint, can have a big vision, and I feel like you internally, mentally, visually, emotionally can create that big vision, but you have to have the money to back it. And so, and I don't know if this is on your thing about finding sponsors who want to uh, donate and to help support the nonprofit, but I feel like that would be really good. Okay. All right. So if you have any follow up, of course, ask. Okay. So I'm not really sure LW means here, but I'm going to put it up. It says, "Hi, Amy." I don't know which Amy she's talking to. Obviously not me. So if you are really talking to Amy, Amy, help her with her adult daughter. Anyway, um, all right. So Anne says, "My rescue corgi is very afraid of my husband no matter what he tries. Coincidentally, she also seems to be see spirits in the house. Wondering what's up with that and what can be done to calm their interactions." And when you get a rescue, you don't really know what kind of a home they've come out of. I have seen pets where they were abused by a man, so they don't trust any men, or they really weren't around women, so they don't really trust any women, or they might have preferences. Um, so the picture that I keep getting So I'm hoping that, because I do this, so I'm hoping you do this too, that you allow your corgi to get on the sofa, and maybe your husband can, have like little treats to get the corgi, not to pet the corgi, not to touch the corgi, but to get the corgi to come get the treat. And then work on getting the corgi to just sit next to him. Again, not with the touching, just with proximity, and taking it one step at a time, because I feel like the dog has a lot of fear about men. And I don't get that it's your husband's vibe. I feel like it's more about the dog. Um, One of the other things is, there's a brand called Bach. They make flower essences. They're kind of like homeopathic, except more on emotional levels. And so Bach makes something that's called Rescue Remedy. So it's a liquid, and I would try taking like 2 or 3 drops and putting it in your dog's water, because that might help your dog to start unwinding some of the trauma that he or she has experienced. Um, I feel like it's going to be a process, and it's just going to be a process. Oh, and one of my dogs used to see spirits in the house, so I think that that's really cool. And so whenever my dogs, any of them, would start barking at like some weird things, like bark, 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 it's like I would start looking around, going, "Oh, there's a dead guy over there. How fun is that?" Not. Anyway, so and I hope that helps. Okay, so we're back to Amy, who didn't know who I was. I'm Dr. Rita Louise. That's why this is Dr. Rita Live. Okay, any advice for my adult daughter? LW, can you give me like just a tad bit more information about what's going on with your daughter? And I will come back with a response, I promise. Okay. So Amy, we're back to, man, I'm having a good day today. We're back to the nonprofit. And she says, having trouble with the write-ups for the donors. Amy, it would be worth it to, I'm going to give, find someone that will do that. Um, you might try Fiverr. There are people that will do all kinds of things. I mean, if it wasn't all remote work, I'm sure you could find people to come clean your house. Um, and maybe find someone to edit it, to write it, blah, 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 because I feel like when you're a little bit too close, and, it's not your area. And so I think at getting help, and Fiverr is actually pretty cheap, to work with those people. Um, and I feel like once you're exposed to it enough, it will be easier for you to create your own write-ups. But I feel like it's just kind of like a little on the Greek side for you right now, and you're just not 100% sure what all you need to do. Okay, getting a little scratchy, so hang on. I don't want to have like a little coughing fit. Okay, so we're back with Anne and her corgi. That is how I am working things with her. She was a puppy mill breeder. She seems to be afraid of hats. Hats. Okay, not really sure what that's all about. Although the people from the puppy mill might have worn a hat, and that is just part of the whole thing. I don't know. So, Hasten, thanks for joining us. All right, hang on, Amy. It is FIV. All right, I typed it up and now I can't remember. FIVERR. FIVERR.com. Fiverr. Okay. So Sin wants to know how Felix feels, and I'm assuming Sin is a girl? I don't know, a little hard to tell from that profile picture. How does Felix feel? So when I look at Felix's energy, I just feel like there is some separation and there is some distance. I kind of get the impression that that is how he is to most people, that he doesn't really get all that emotionally involved and all that emotionally engrossed. I feel like for you, Sin, that you need to like have a lot of energy coming to you. Um, you kind of have this energy where you like to be a bit enmeshed with the person that you're with. And when you're not experiencing that, you feel like they don't like you. Um, Felix's energy is a little hard to read because it is pretty shut down and he doesn't really want anybody to look inside. And I don't care. I will look at anybody's energy, but he's not revealing it to me, which means he definitely isn't revealing it to you. Um, I mean, I don't get the impression that he has like bad energy about you or doesn't like you. But if you're looking for something with more emotional expression, you're not going to get that from Felix. Okay? Okay. All right. So, and I'm not quite sure where you're going with this. We live on the New Madrid zone. There has been an uptake in small quakes. And not sure what that question's about. And then she put, have you seen activity on the MNSZ, which I don't know what that is at all. So I don't know if there I've seen activity because I don't know what that is. Okay, so and come back and give me some follow-up information. Sin, I told I don't feel like he's cutting his energy out. I feel like that's just how he is. Um, that's just how he is. And you just have to decide whether that's something that you want to deal with, for a long time or not. Man, what do you got? All kinds of people like hanging around you, Sin? All right. All right. And I will come back to you, but I'm going to go with Sin right here for a moment. Okay. So Sin, I'm going to like give you a bad time. It's like, how many people you got hanging around you? Okay. So Chris seems like he has, I'm assuming Chris is a guy, pretty good energy. I feel like much more open than Felix is, much more heart centered. Um, I feel like his energy sometimes is almost like bigger than life, larger than life. When I look at the two of you together, I feel like you're almost overshadowed by his energy. I feel like that's kind of comfortable for you, or you would rather have it be that way than sitting there constantly having to get affection from someone else. Um, I don't know that Chris really notices you, and so, and I'm going to ask this in general about Felix and Chris. Are they people that you're currently in a relationship with, or are they people that you would like to have a relationship with? Okay, so Brenda, yes, you do ask questions. And please, I don't predict the future. I don't talk about dead people. And the more specific you can be, the better it is. Okay, I'm back. All right, Anne, I'm with you now. All right, so Anne wants to know, have I seen any activity on the New Madrid seismic zone? So I haven't really checked into like planetary vibrations in a while because the vibration on the planet is really kind of sucky. And so it's kind of a hard energy to want to ground into. So I feel like that activity has been going on since really the quake that was in Turkey a couple of weeks ago. Um, and then it hasn't really gone away, and it's just kind of there vibrating around. And so, all right, and I'm going to say this, but please don't hold me to it because this really is not like my main area of expertise. But I kind of feel like it's getting a little stronger, you know, and the image that I keep getting is that okay, so when you think of like the tide, the water goes up on the shore over here and then it goes down, but when it's going down, it's going up on the shore on the other side, and then it's coming down and going up on the shore on this side. And kind of what I'm feeling is that there's this wave that is moving from, kind of your area across to some other location and then back, kind of like those waves. And so that's why the seismic activity isn't steady and isn't consistent. But I bet if you look at it, it is being kind of cyclical, like almost like it's on a timer. And if you've noticed that, I would love to get that feedback because I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of making it all up. But a lot of times when I make up stuff, it ends up being true. It's one of the joys of doing psychic work. All right, let's see. Okay, Amy, kind of too gentle of a question for me to really respond to, I think. Let me get to Brenda and then I'll come back. But if you can maybe be just a little bit more specific, that would be great. Ooh, that's a yucky question, Miss Brenda. Okay, so the question is, why did my daughter cut me out of her life? Will she invite me back in this lifetime? Ooh. Okay, so Brenda, how I no, it's okay, Brenda. Okay. So I need to make sure that you're sitting down because this is going to come out kind of really blunt, and I don't want you to hate me um, this way. Okay. Um, so I don't know. When I look at your daughter's energy, I feel like she gets overwhelmed by yours. I feel like she needed to have some time to clear her space out, to figure out what she wanted, who she was, where she was going from her own sense of direction. Probably if you talk to her, she sees you as being kind of controlling and a bit overbearing. And the reason she moved you out is because she wants to be her in her energy space and have that experience of that. Um, I don't get the impression that she hates you. Um, And if you asked her what I just said about her having her own energy in her own space, she probably would like never be able to articulate that. But that's what I'm getting from her is that, and I get the impression that you're kind of not the only one. I feel like she's kind of moved a lot of people out of her life right now because she just, I get the impression that she's just really sensitive and she just needs to have her space and she needs to have peace and quiet in it. And that's just the way it is. And she's putting up boundaries and she don't care. I mean, I do feel like down the road that she will invite you back in. Um, it's not going to be today or tomorrow, so have a drink, meditate, do any of those things. Um, it's going to be a while, but I do feel like she will come back. And I think the most important thing is I don't get the impression that she hates you, and I don't get the impression that it's any one thing that you've done that she's so upset about. I just feel like she wants to have her own life experience. So that's good. I like it, kind of. Okay, so all right, so Ann said there's a wave around the old North AM crater. It exits out in SC. Okay, so Ann, I'm not really like sure what you're talking about or how I can respond or answer to your question, if that's a question. Okay. And you're so very, so Brenda says that helps. Thanks. Thank you, Brenda. I hope you come back again. All right, so I'm going to go back with Sin and her little romance thing. Um, so she asked, will Chris and I get together romantically? I mean, I don't feel like Chris has any overt intention of getting together with you romantically. And Sin, I'm going to say this, and this is going to sound disgusting. Well, kind of. I'm assuming that you're very young. How's that? I'm assuming that you're very young, and I'm not. But that if you kind of throw yourself at him, that he would welcome that. Um, but whatever came out of that would be very, very unhealthy. So, yeah, I get the impression that you're young. So, if he initiates something, that's one thing. If you initiate something or create a situation where it's kind of like, you know, that you're kind of putting out that vibe, not a good idea. I'm just getting, don't do it because it would just end not well. Okay? All right. See, so Brenda put, my daughter and I are both empathic. So then, Brenda, then you understand what I'm talking about is her just needing to have some space. I don't think she's really had the opportunity to know what her energy really feels like. And I feel like she's using this period to find that out. So in the big picture, I feel like that's a really great thing. All right. All right. Thanks, Brenda. Hey, and we have Jody that just showed up. Jody, you have a question for me tonight? That'd be really great. And I'm speaking to Jody here personally for a second. I was hoping all of you guys would show back up. I wanted to tell a story about Uncle Johnny, but I was going to save her for when everybody came in. So, anyway. All right. So, we got 10 more minutes, and I think I have answered all. There's a new question coming in. I know. So back to Jody. Yeah, it's a story that I have not told anybody, I don't think, in your whole family, but about Uncle Johnny. Like a weird, it's a Dr. Rita story, one only I could come up with. So let's see. I think I've hit everything. All right. So does anyone else have any questions for me? I Okay, so Sin, that's exactly what I was talking about. It would not be good if you did the approaching, if you were the aggressor, if you were the person trying to move the relationship forward. Because I feel like he would go along with it, then you would get all involved and you would get all enmeshed, and it would just turn out not good. Leave it up to him. If he wants to be with you, if he wants to go out with you, he can take care of that. He can approach you, and if he doesn't approach you, then you know that he's just friend, and don't worry about it. Okay? Okay. I don't know. There's not any questions. It's almost time, so I am going to call this a night. If you want to schedule If you want to schedule a private consultation, please go to my website, soulhealer.com, and send me a message and we can get something set up. Don't forget to like Dr. Rita Louise on Facebook. So Dr. Rita Louise has my bright, shining face as my profile picture and not a poodle in a tinfoil hat. And also, if you are watching on YouTube, would you subscribe to my channel, Just Energy Radio? That's Just Energy Radio on YouTube, and I would appreciate the subscription. And so until next week, I'm Dr. Rita Louise.